we need to hear it again. And we need to hear it again. So we might ask that, what is new about this kind of a session? All these issues, we know that. We know that the issues of women's empowerment is an important part of it. We keep on reminding ourselves, we keep on reminding the policymakers, we keep on reminding the political leaders. And this is a contribution towards that direction. I congratulate and I congratulate everybody who came for the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you to please break for tea, and we will come back in 15 minutes for the next session. Thank you.
But really anyone can answer it. If we look at this, violence against women as a social problem that's based in, societal views, how can we address that in other ways, not just the law?
More broader ramification and broader causes for it. So the legal response is only one of the response. And most importantly, we have to, this should be part of the overall social transformation process. There are many people work in the area of social change. So we may have to calibrate the issues of women in the context of social change. And in that context, I would say what is most important thing is that ongoing education, awareness building, and also looking at our own education system to see that what kind of values we inculcate during our socialization period. Violence against women is part of the socialization of the men's psyche. That's also maybe we have to take into consideration. So I would say that the social response includes social education, social movements, linking up with other social issues, and also bringing up creating large alliances with other developmental issues, and looking at issues of law. So law is not really one; it's not the only solution. It should be part of a broader package of social change and social transformation. That's the point I was trying to highlight.
I would add to that, the social mindset needs to change. To just give you an example, when we people were growing up, now I'm talking maybe 40, 45 years ago, we came across the same situations that the younger generation today comes across. We had stalking, we had people passing vulgar remarks, trying to touch you, all these kind of things were happening. But none of us at that point even had the courage to stand up. We just said, it's alright, chalta hai. This is part of life, you have to accept it. Had we people taken action at that point of time, had we started, doing the mindset, changing the mindset of people, probably things may have been different. But we all tend to keep quiet because it's a societal kind of acceptance. So we all accept it. It happens, so let it be. So we all need to look at that also.
It's called victimity because they say almost 70% of the sexual molestations take place in families, and that happens even today because families don't want other members of their families to be exposed, and the silence continues. At least outside, people should start speaking up, and people in families have also started slowly speaking up because they realize that it's not the victim who is to blame, but the perpetrator is to blame. Always it was the victim who was treated as she dresses like that, she does this, she must have done something wrong. So the burden was always put on the woman. And now the women have to stand up and say, no, it's you who does these things.
That you have just given, I just wanted to point out that when we talk about sexual violence, it's not that only India is facing, or the underdeveloped countries, the illiterate, the countries who are not very much educated. It's a worldwide problem. It's not that education can cater the whole thing with the values, because USA places as well and other developed countries as well. So, what is the actual problem? It's not about that we blame the victims only. Here, certainly we do, but it's not that always and every time it is about the victims and blaming them. The problem lies somewhere else. I don't know where, but I'm just trying to understand where should we locate the problem. And the second question I wanted to ask that when we talk about the abuse of the rape laws and all that, it's not that the women are using always women are abusing the laws to harass men. It's in India. I have seen many cases where family take charges on the men who are involved in a love relationship with a girl, and then the man who is in the love relationship is charged for it. It's not that abusing is not in the sense of that women are abusing it for men. It's like patriarchy is abusing for like politics of patriarchy, in which they want certain things to happen in certain ways. Like they want their girls to marry to the man they want her to marry in the caste, in the whatever. But so the abusing becomes on the part of the parents or of the society who can pick up any couple, any love who are in a loving relationship to blame it every time.
Would you like to take it?
Well, there are two questions you put. The first question is, now it's quite clear in many ways that rape is not just a sexual act. It's also an act of power. It's often, that's why you see it's been used in war, in the sense that you find armies of one country want to rape the women of the other country. They think it's a kind of power proof. And it's also a man's feeling that he has power over the woman, power over somebody else. So you're right, to some extent, it's not only sexual lust, a matter of lust, it's also a matter of power. So it comes, that's why it's all over the world. I mean, you have it everywhere, but somewhere less and somewhere more, but I think that in most other countries, people are willing to talk about it. In India, till now, we were not willing to talk about it. That was our big problem, because we didn't talk about it because it affected the reputation of the girl somehow. It always seemed that if the girl was to blame, and therefore the family was to blame, and the family would be in some way ashamed of what had happened, rather than shaming the man, actually, for what he'd done. And so I think that's really the whole reason behind it. And the question of whether you want people to marry in the same caste, or, of course, this is a whole system that is there. That's why I said to you in the beginning that the report deals not just with the question of the legal aspect, but in a holistic manner, with the question of cup panchayats, with the question of attitudes of people, how you try to change patriarchy, the mindset of patriarchy. That is why we've tried to deal with all those aspects, and we've also tried to build in a charter of rights for women. What are our rights? And I think that if we look at the report carefully, which is on the internet now, you will find all those things out there, and hopefully that someday some action will be taken on them.
Ma'am, passers-by were going because they knew that if they get involved, they will have to run around the court for years to come. Have you built in something into your recommendations that there should be, firstly, any hospital they should take the patient, because only government hospital take it. The police has to be sensitized, because they were fighting, the girl was lying naked on the road and they were fighting on jurisdiction.
That is not a thing that is important in a moment like that. The important thing is to take action. And we have also dealt with the civilians who passed by and didn't even try to put a cloth on this girl who was lying there naked, thrown on the road. And it's really quite heartless. It is true that people who do take action sometimes suffer. And they are called to the courts and they're called time and again. So that aspect has also been dealt with in the report, that what should be done and how we should take action, how we should have witness protection. So we have dealt with it. Now, how far it will go forward and what happens. But I think that, irrespective I think it's a citizen's duty. And even if you have harassment and have to go to court 2 or 3 times, it's one's duty. It's a human thing to do. You see a girl lying, a young girl lying on the road, and she's lying actually naked. You at least cover her with something. You have a cloth or something to cover her with, the orni or something. You know, it's something that you would do naturally, but you refrain from doing it. Just close your eyes and pass by. This is a bad thing that society has taught us. In the villages and things, people do take more action, whereas in town we become so isolated. We just care about it. We are rushing to work. We're 5 minutes late. We don't care what's happening. You know, it is a whole kind of should I say, a whole divisive society that grows up. You don't know what's happening in your neighbor's house. Somebody may be committing a crime there, and you're not even aware, or if you're aware, you don't want to say anything. So this is an unfortunate thing that's happening, that we're becoming so isolated that we don't care for the next person.
Dr.
The one who commented that it was mentioned that this is not only the issue of India, but what we look at is that how we respond to it and how each country is responding to it. Is our response is at least basic response or is below basic response? What we have to do is our capacity to respond to these issues, for example, support services for the victims or support services for the survivors, and looking at what are the long-term psychosocial support you require. So those support systems are not here. The legal support systems are not here. And the legal enforcement systems are weak. This we compare with other countries. Many countries got much more robust response systems are in place. So that's what we have to say, that when we say that this is not the problem of India alone, then we have to see that when we compare our response to other countries, our response is much better than other countries or poorer than other countries. And unfortunately, our response is much poorer than many other countries in the similar situation. And this is also a reflection of women's participation in the public space. Because in India, most of the public space is men's space, not women's space. This is probably, that's what we have to look at it and why it is. And when you compare with other countries, many of other countries, the equal participation of women and men in the public space is almost equitable. Recently, I happened to travel through China extensively. The interesting thing I noticed that half of the airline passengers are women in China, whereas in India, the morning flight as well, like 1 or 2 women any flight. I mean, I'm not saying upper middle class. I mean, just it happened to that. Even the train journey, the public transport, public space is men's space in India. Maybe that's one of the core issues which we have to look at it, and ensuring that women's participation in all aspects of social life, through legally, through socially, through education-wise, and also through, I'm glad to see that Maitri is taking that men's pledge against violence. And understanding about violence itself is different. Many people think, what is violence? What is the gender-based violence? It is not physical